Yeah, let's see if we're showing up anywhere.
We're live. Yeah, I see it on Rumble.
I'm not seeing it show up on my Rumble yet.
Well, it's live on Rumble for me.
You got it?
Yep.
Not showing up to my YouTube. Well, that's interesting.
Geezer and Geeks. Yeah, I have it here.
There I am. There all of a sudden it is.
There you are.
Yeah.
So, yep, there we be.
Hmm.
So it took a few. It took a few to get in there, huh?
Yeah.
What else we got? Yep, Geezer Geeks on Rumble just popped up.
Yep.
Yahoo with that. I'm now seeing I have 4 squares of the 4 of us. We are right now on across my monitors. We are 4 squared.
There's something wrong with your monitor.
You think? I think my monitor's gone out of focus or some shit's gone off here.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, so we got
the resolution tonight is much better than it was on Saturday, at least on my end.
It's all that shit you're smoking, Jim.
Oh, it's very bad. Let me make sure. Let me test. Yeah, you're probably right.
Love it. Oh, dear. Oh, it's such a slow. I better put my phone on silent just in case my boss rings me. I'm talking about my wife.
Oh.
Yes. Sorry, dear. Why aren't you answering your phone? She'll say. Who you talking to? Oh, dear.
Well, it is, as you were saying before we finally clicked the button and started sharing our shit across all of these platforms and airwaves. We were talking and musing about what Terry was saying, how much he's missed coming and hanging around with the rest of these geezers. I mean, this is a geezer group. This is a group of geezers. And what do you call a group of geezers? What is that?
Trouble.
A guzzle?
Cellmates?
Yeah, probably all the above and then some.
A gaggle of geese, so I think it would be a guzzle of geezers.
Well, you could use gaggle because gaggle's not only a group, but it's also a thing that you hear people engage in. They gabble, well, right?
We do babble a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, only some of us babble a lot.
I'm an expert at it. I'm an expert. I mean, come on.
Well, that's why we have these gatherings, because if there's one thing that geezers got to do, they got to get their gab on. And when you have been geezing about for some duration of time, decades and, approaching triple digits, and you go, there's a lot of stuff went down during that time. There's a lot of things that are just, I can't even believe, but I only can believe because I was in it. It was me it was happening to. But there's all these things that stack up, and you look back at things and you go, I think about that a little bit differently than I did before, because I have new information. I have more perspective, more seasoned perspective, because you've bounced around and this and that, and you've created some and you've destroyed some. But all that stuff is just stuff that you have. So when you get to a point where you've got a lot of that, this is my point, and this, I think, fairly explains you guys, excluding me. I think what happens when this gaggle of geezers gets together and does a gab fest, it's really a therapy session.
Oh, yes.
Because all of that pressure of that stuff that we've acquired and built up for all these decades, it's got to come out. We need to share it and tell some people about it. Make sure that we can, where we can, we help mitigate the friction in whatever process people are going through to experience and be in life. And when you get to be a geezer, boy, do the stories get rich.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
have you
I-
ever
pe-
pondered how come we got so far without killing ourselves? I mean, I mean, I mean, I should have been dead 10 times over for the things I've done in my life.
Right?
me too.
Yeah,
I mean, either that or in federal penitentiary for life.
it's unbelievable. I mean, people today, they're so sensitive over the most littlest thing, and you think to yourself, my God, what's going on here, Yes,
Hey,
it makes me
hey,
wonder.
when I was about 10 years old, Alan, oh shit, I can't remember his last name. Alan Holmes, Rusty Brown, Doug Malone, and myself were all three wannabe juvenile delinquents.
It sounds like a 50s version of the Little Rascals.
Yeah, we borrowed I think it was a Southern Pacific or a Santa Fe. I don't know which one it was. We borrowed the train. It took them 3.5 weeks to find it. It had been running on a siding, and we've been climbing on the cars and stuff. And Rusty yells, "Hey, the cab's open!" So we go up there. Sure enough, the cab's there. The thing is running because I think diesel fuel was 9 cents a gallon or something back in the day. We're talking 1954, 1955, and they didn't lock a lot of the switches because they didn't have kids like us running around. So I think Alan moved the switch. We got on the main line, went past it. We had about, I think, 9 cars. He switched it. He turned the switch back the correct way, and off we went. We went through Sunnyvale, which is the 5-mile-an-hour zone, doing about 60, blasting the horn the whole way. We got into San Jose, and this is on a weekend. We got into San Jose, and we just ended up on a siding. We played around the train yard for quite a while, and then we realized, hey, we're going to have to get home. But we knew there was a freight that came through Mountain View about 9:30 p.m. And back then, 9:30, that was curfew. Your ass better not be out. They'll stop you. So we did jump on that train, and there's an area just past where our bikes was covered with ice plant. If you don't live in Southern California, I don't know if they have it anywhere else, but it's real squishy, has a lot of water in it, and all you're going to do is you're going to turn into Kermit the Frog. And we jumped. It was going about 5 miles an hour going through Mountain View, and we jumped off. But now it's after curfew, so we get up to where our bikes are, and we say, well, if we get caught, we're in trouble. So we were right next to the train station. So we went in the train station. We had matches, but no cigarettes. So we just took the cigarette machine, turned it upside down, and shook it. And we got about 8 or 10 packs of cigarettes, maybe $15 worth of change. And then we're trying to figure out how we can get from there about 1.25 miles, 1.5 miles to Rusty's place, because we were camping in the back of their property. They had a couple of acres. And there was a very nice step van. It wasn't locked up. And one of the kids, I think it was Doug Malone. He was sort of the real problem guy. So I know how to hot wire. It should be simple. It had United States Postal Service on the side, but we ignored that. We loaded our bikes in there, drove it within 1/4 mile of Rusty's place, and then just left it. 3.5 weeks later at lunch, I heard one of the kids saying that, "Now, my dad, they lost a train. They didn't know what happened to it. They finally found it on some siding in San Jose. They don't know how it got there."
They do now.
Yeah. It is, it's just today's kids have no imagination. If it's not connected to Wi-Fi, that's why sports or any type of interaction with another human being, that's why that stuff is really dropping, because the up and coming generation has done absolutely everything on a smartphone or their tablet or computer screen, and they've lost the ability to deal with people in person.
There's social interaction, that real social interaction. I remember when I was doing IT work, and I walked into this crib room, and all these people sitting there, and they all got their phones in front of their face, and I actually turned around and said, "Don't any of you talk to each other? I mean, there's 7 people here."
Oh, they may text somebody sitting right next to them.
Yeah, and one of them actually got up and complained to one of the management, saying, "Hey, B's bloody kind of like interfering with what we're doing, And all I mentioned was, but they got so offended because I upset their break." By making a statement. Don't you guys ever talk to each other?
Well, come on, B. Don't tell me that wasn't a perfect example of you taking your finger, sticking it in the pot, and stirring it around. Well, you didn't have to say squat to those words.
Well,
but he stuck his finger in his butt first.
But it's look, it's what it's all about. I mean, let's put it this way: the kids today are sensitive little pricks. I mean, I'm just going to say it straight. Sensitive little pricks. When I grew up, I got a clip across the ear, size 12 boot up the ass, and not just talking about that, I also got a belt too, buckle and all. If I don't toe the line. Hey, if you're going to complain, I'll give you more. I'll give you something to cry for. And that's my upbringing. But guess what? I learnt respect. I learned to get off my ass and do something when I was actually told to do it. You know what I mean? I wasn't allowed to say, no, you want to go out and play? Do your chores first, clean up your bedroom, do your shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I was raised that same way. We found out where the line was once. Yeah. We might have stumbled on it a second time, but after that, we knew where the lines were.
It was called.
And when you were at a party too, when we had the chance, because once we did get out,
that line was called the dead zone.
Yeah.
I remember the first time that I got knocked through the back screen door. My mom was it's a small little house. This is in Los Altos, California, Silicon Valley, and the kitchen was so small. You could glue my mom's feet to the middle of the floor. She could reach everything. And she was telling, I was like 14. I was at my worst at everything as far as being a good kid. My mom said something, and I mumbled up under my breath. Oh, God. And next thing I knew, I was flying through the back door, the screen part, with my ass in the backyard, broken nose. I didn't know my dad was standing right next to me, and he heard me say, "Oh, go to hell." My mom didn't hear it. I knew she couldn't hear it. That's why I mumbled it. But that hand came back of his hand right here, and I was through the back door. Dad was 6'5", born and raised in the infantry, and I was raised in our military dictatorship. So I even told my TI in basic training, he has me standing in a garbage can because of some infraction, and I'm standing there. It's in San Antonio, Texas, at Lackland Air Force Base. It is May. It is hot and it is humid. And I'm standing out in the sun. And he's just chewing me up. And Sergeant Hansen was his name. And I'm standing there at not so much attention, but I'm all in the garbage can. And all of a sudden, have you ever had an instance where you could not stop a laugh? There was no way.
Those are the
I'm
best.
I'm biting inside of my lip. I'm pinching myself.
No.
And here's this jackass. His face is right here, and he's yelling and screaming at me, and he said, "Doesn't this bother you?" And I said, "No, sir." And he said, says, I figured he said something else. I said, "Sir, compared to my dad, you're a rank amateur." I put myself back up. I get back in the garbage can. This goes on for another 20, 30 minutes. And I can feel the laugh coming. I know I don't want to laugh.
Well,
And all of a sudden I just burst out laughing. He said, "Airman, what are you laughing at?" I said, "Nothing, sir." "Don't hand me that crap. I know you're laughing." "Nothing, sir. I'm just, I had just had a funny thought. It didn't pertain to you."
Hey, Jim, I've got a good one for you, mate. I've got a good one for you. There was
but he kept. Let me finish. But he kept. Yeah, he just kept hounding me. He says, "Doesn't this bother you at all?" I said, "Sir, what's so funny?" I said, "A grown man acting like a 3-year-old." And he knocked me on my ass again. And then he went into. I was up in the second floor of an open bay barracks. He opened the window. He throws my footlocker out the window. And he had opened it up and got all my clothes that I had hanging up, stuffed them in the thing, and threw them out the window.
Well,
so
yeah, I had the sergeant, Jim. I had the Sergeant Sayers. He was a real prick. I tell you that now. I mean, here was I was based in Bielefeld, Germany, and of course it was in October, so there was a Munich Beer Fest going on in Oktoberfest, and I went to the Munich Beer Festival, and of course I was 24 hours late coming back to camp on my leave, and then the sergeant says, "Okay," they put me on charge for a week. I was on garrison patrol. That was my task for the week. Garrison patrol, 12-hour shifts. That's it, you know. Anyway, there was I. It started pissing down rain, and Sergeant Sayers walked in and says, "Okay, go and walk the perimeters." I said, "It's raining outside. Let me grab my jacket." And he says, "Grab your jacket? Grab your jacket?" He says, "What does the rain do to the grass?" He said, "Makes it grow, Sergeant." He said, "Well, effing well, get out there now then." And anyway, of course, I went out and did it. And when I got back, he grabbed me, he put me down, he's like this down at my face, you know, and he says, "Beckwith, you don't start pulling your socks up." He says, "I'm going to march you into the city, and I'm going to climb the tallest building, and I'm going to piss on you from a great height."
Wow.
Hey, mate. Hey,
that sounds dedicated. But I'm sure it would be difficult because I don't know about you guys. I can hit
but
something.
They're not allowed to talk to.
I can write my name in the snow by taking a piss, and I got a lot of curves. Right? It's so.
You could be freehand, are you?
So anyway, it just seems strange to me that if I was going to piss on you, I wouldn't do it from the top of a building. I'd be standing next to you, or maybe you in a dumpster and I'm standing outside. But yeah, anyway, never mind.
Yeah. Oh man. Hey, but now, even today, in the military, they've got to talk to you with sensitivity and respect. I don't know what's happening with them, mate. I mean, I suppose they're all wearing yoga pants now in combat.
Well, they're not only wearing yoga pants, they're wearing dresses and prosthetics, and they're made up, and they're using the system that has a design for a biology that they aren't. And you can think it all you want, but the power of the mind, it works a lot slower than you deciding all of a sudden that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make the choice of my biology, which I had nothing to do with creating it, but I know I can now take charge of it and redefine it according to this mental field of gymnastics that I've been doing to try to make to give it my feelings a place to be. Because the feelings in a lot of cases are not even connected with whatever the damn thought is. There's a thought, and then you're supposed to get ground up about it. And they do a pretty good job at that. I'm going to give them a B plus, maybe an A- on, salad cooking and, creating all of this chaos in the conversation. But it's short-lived. It has no, it's definitely definable. It is not repeatable unless you like unsustainable results, because that's what's going on. But all the things that we're experiencing, and this is just my view, all the things we're experiencing are symptoms of all of that shit being afoot. And the more you add to it, the more it kind of, it fuels it up again. Oh, got to think this. Oh, there's somebody doing that. Oh, what the hell's this? Somebody mysterious that. Something else. Oh, little thing, possible, global galactic nuclear nonsense. It's all very powerful because it all plays on the most important psychological, emotional, and physiological thing that we can experience, and that's fear. And fear will turn a whole situation into something completely different in an instant. And that's what's being used. So actually, it's kind of maybe I can use this as a segue into one of the things I wanted to share this evening. It's about 5-6 minutes long, and it is someone who has decided that they want to call it the way they see it, and do it very directly. And I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on what this person has to say. All right, so let me make sure I got it here. There it is. All right, so stand by. We will do the share thing, which is this, which is this, which is that. And now I need to be in this. All right, everybody see that all right?
Yeah.
Yep.
At least the top part. Why don't you put us to the side?
I don't think I can put you to the side. Let me see. Nope, I can only manipulate you on the bottom, but I can't hide you. You don't need to, there's no, the visual isn't important. It's, no.
You put it,
Oh, this, hold on.
What's this little thumb coming up over me all the time?
It's when you give a thumbs up, you get a little symbol.
It picks up your hand gesture and says, "Oh, they want a thumb up." Throws one in there. All right. Fortunately, all you have to do is listen to this, but you can see in his face some very interesting tells, and I'd like your esteemed, wizened gentleman's opinion on what he says next. All right, here we go.
It's called The Climax. This week, we learned that Fauci lied about the lab leak. He lied about the gain of function. He lied about science. He lied about the distancing. He lied about the masks. He lied about the shots. He lied about the closures. Everything we know about the Ukraine war is completely made up. Seems to be an energy play, has nothing to do with NATO or protecting the country or Putin is bad. We know that Biden is certainly not fucking cogent in private. Come on. Even the Democrats know that's a lie. Why don't they apologize for saying that Biden is perfectly fine in private? They're not going to apologize because it's intentional. Every one of them wakes up and says it every day, intentionally, because they're trying to stop Hitler. Why would they ever apologize for that? Here's some things we know. The E. Jean Carroll lawsuit against Trump only existed because New York made up a law that canceled the statute of limitations just to get Trump. We know that Bragg had to use a novel prosecution idea, in other words, made up a law in order to stop Trump, and we can all see it. We know the Russia collusion hoax was the operating system of the Biden campaign from top to bottom. We know that the laptop was hoax, as I said. Most of us have figured out that the January 6th insurrection was a hoax because Republicans don't do insurrections and don't take out their guns, right? That was all a hoax. We also know that the entire committee, the January 6th committee, was corrupt, and that they, well, here's one example. Remember the claim about Trump choking the Secret Service guy in the Beast, the car that the president rides in? And apparently the Secret Service agent wanted to testify that it didn't happen, and he wasn't allowed to testify for the January 6th. No, we're not guessing whether they're a bunch of fucking crooks. We're not guessing. It's right there. Every bit of it is now public information. The January 6th committee, thoroughly corrupt. Do I think that we should get revenge on them? No. Do I think we should do reciprocity? No. I just think nobody's above the law. So I'd take that into account. How about the George Floyd hoax? How about putting General Flynn in fucking prison? How about the election security hoax, where they tell us the election is fine, and then they backed off to, well, okay, sure, there are gigantic holes, and we can't really audit any of this fucking thing. But believe us, trust us. Yeah, we trust you. Because after the Russia collusion fucking hoax, the laptop fucking hoax, the fucking pandemic, the January 6th fucking hoax, the George Floyd fucking hoax, and putting General Flynn in fucking jail, Peter Navarro is still in jail. And you think we're going to believe that your fucking election was good? Sorry. Now, do I have any proof that the election in 2020 was rigged? Nope. Do I need it? No, not anymore. There was a time when I said, you know, you're going to have to prove that. Nope. No, you don't have to prove it anymore. Every fucking part of the Democrat machine is a hoax. Do you believe that the election, the most important thing, is the one thing they're going to play straight? There isn't a fucking chance. There's no chance that it was straight. None. Not in the real world. Not in the real fucking world. In the real fucking world, there are, 30 to 50 fucking hoaxes that your news tried to tell you was real, and the same fucking people running the election, and you think that they played that straight. No chance. No chance. How about the Mar-a-Lago Boxgate bullshit? How about that inflation is under control? No problem about it. How about the border is sealed? No, it's not. It's a big problem. Wait, there's nothing I can do about it because there's nothing I can do as president. Oh, yes, there is. Wait, no, that's a fucking trick too. It looks like I closed it, but I did nothing. How about those climate change models? How about Tesla just got a low ESG score and Philip Morris got a high one? ESG is a fucking hoax. DEI is a fucking stupid idea by stupid people. Our government is run by Alex Soros's boyfriend and or girlfriend this week. Fonnie Willis case is being delayed. Jack Smith case delayed. So you're going to have to run for office, you fucking assholes, on your one obvious lawfare case that even your own fucking experts say is bullshit. And that's what you get to run on. So good luck in November, assholes. You brought it on yourself.
So, gentlemen,
I like him.
what did you think of Mr. Adams' remarks?
On the ball. Definitely on the ball. Sorry, Jim.
I agree 100%. Next. All right, Mr. B.
Well, as an outsider looking at American politics and understanding a limit your constitution. I'm really flabbergasted to kind of look at it and say, well, what is the army and the police force doing to correct all this? Because in your constitution, anyone that joins the armed forces, they're going to protect the country, foreign and domestic.
Okay.
Right now, I'm an outsider looking in, and all I've seen since the Biden camp came on, before the Biden camp came into politics, right? There were talk about corruption, about these what they call oil tycoons in Russia and everything else, and what was going on with China, right? There were talks about bribes. All this was happening, and what was the first presidential rule Biden made? He stopped the oil line from Alaska, right? Stop, where America would have been totally independent on fuel. The economy wouldn't blown out, and you wouldn't be in the economic situation you're in now. You'll be selling oil to the rest of the world. You'll have cheaper energy, better for manufacturing, and also Donald Trump. I mean, I don't like him. I think he's an arrogant prick, but he is a businessman and he gets the job done. Right? That's my attitude. That's my opinion. But the thing is, he put tariffs on the Chinese. He knew what the frig they were doing. He's not stupid. Right? Now look at it. You guys are now paying fuel like your economy's collapsed. You got heaps of homeless people. Hey, they can clean up the streets when they've got a Chinese delegate coming into town to make it all look nice and pretty. Again, it's a Biden friggin' bloody, hey, let's put a bit of makeup on and make it look all fantastic. You know, I mean, America is not as sweet as what a lot of people think it is. I mean, what you see on TV, all you see is Hollywood and you know, and all these mansions and that. Like, people don't really live like that. Only the very few. Right? Now, the reality of it is, the American people are being screwed over by these pricks in government because all they're interested, right, is self-gratification and wealth. They don't care about you, me, or anybody else. And you know, I mean, look the example when they pull out of the Middle East, they left all that bloody weaponry behind to all the terrorists, and not just weaponry. American citizens, to left their own people behind. What kind of a president does a shit like that?
Communist.
Of course, he's getting paid by the friggin' Chinese, isn't he? But remember some years back, Russia wanted, after the Communist Party fell, Berlin Wall fell, Russia asked to join NATO. NATO said no. Why? Because right through the Cold War, Chinese and the Russians were at each other's necks. They were messing on the borders of China and Russia. Right? They were ready to go to war with each other, literally. And now they're freaking allies. Who against? The US and the free world.
Well, it's a little more nuanced, I think, with a few layers than that, Terry. But I agree with your general premise that there's foolery about by fools who are have their best interest and at our expense interest, and that is just, I think that's just the natural mold that grows in those kind of environments, and you either have to be making sure you're keeping your filters clean and everything sprayed and disinfected. But to me, this is system, and what we're seeing, and what Scott in particular was calling out. You know, I've got a regular rant on the rise of the pissed off peeps, which is about, you know, it's all people. There's more and more people that are just, you don't have to be awake. You just have to be existing to see your BS meter pegging all the time in the red. And when you're really, you know, paying attention, you got a whole nother set of bullshit meters that you're used to attenuate and keep an eye on the crap as it's coming in. But I thought Scott did an extremely nice job of making a concise and very poignant and pissed off presentation of, you want to do what again? No, it's time to call you out. You are completely, you're wrong. And all the evidence shows that you're wrong. And letting you continue to be in charge and make more wrong makes no sense. And that is what we're hearing. In my opinion, I think we're hearing this rising chorus. And this, Scott, this is, you know, the Dilbert cartoon.
Yeah.
This is the guy who does that.
Oh, because I could see Dilbert
Right,
in the
okay.
background.
You know what I found?
Stuff
I found there is evidence about election corruption. There was a security. Do you remember
There's a shitload of it.
Hey, there was a security camera. They told all these officials saying, "Look, we're going to stop counting now. You can go." And as soon as they walked out the room, they pulled these suitcases out from under the table.
Well, aside from all of the anecdotal
Evidence.
and empirical data like that, you're right. The thing that makes it impossible to know is that it's designed so that you cannot audit it. You can't go in and validate and verify any of the systems. There's no transparency. There is only the gift of integrity granted to those who are supposed to be in charge of making sure that information is pure and hasn't been manipulated. And that's the whole, but the system to do that is just littered with shit. They were saying, I think a month or two ago, that somebody was talking about the fact that if what we're doing by allowing mail-in voting, okay, is the chain of custody of once someone creates that thing and then puts it into the system is being entrusted to the post office.
Yeah.
The post office that we use, which is not secure. It's secure as much as it can be, but it's easily cherry picked and fucked with all the time. So, but that system that's got all these holes and problems and inefficiencies in is what's being entrusted to maintain the chain of custody, the provenance of a vote that's cast and the receipt thereof and the proper tallyment of that. The system, you can't do that with all the systems today. That's why there hasn't been enough of a push to go through this maze of getting all of that data together to validate it, and other reasons as well. But anyway, that I think is one of the reasons that we're seeing a lot of the crap that we're all dealing with. Each one of these areas to me are like individual dumpster fires. You know, there's one on healthcare, there's one on homelessness, there's one on this, there's one on that, there's infrastructure, there's all of the different needs to make a society function. All of those got little fiefdoms, and they all need to be cleaned out and retooled, optimized. And that goes to this will be a good segue into the other piece I want to share. So let me get that queued up here. You know, there's two things that you guys have heard me rant on about, and I think are two things that are really important. And these are a couple of good examples. So one, the Scott Adams we just watched was an example of the rise of the pissed off peeps. And I think the intelligentsia of the pissed off peeps too. There's all kinds of extremely wealthy and influential people that have recently come out and said, I'm going to go lean on the Trump side. All kinds of them. So this is about technology, which is the other rant I go on. I think there's a future in tech that we're about to see that's going to blow people's minds. And a lot of it is going to be based on this tokenization and technology thing. So this is a piece on that. Oh, hold on. And get this correct one shared. Yes. Okay. We got that?
Yep.
Okay, so just as a background, this is Charles Hoskinson. He is the founder of Cardano, which is a network in the crypto world. Extremely brilliant guy. He's got a bunch of medical facilities that he's been building, doing a lot of great work, but a really intelligent guy. And he has been, in fact, a couple of years ago on a live stream he was doing. I caught it on YouTube and I listened to him and I said, he's got a little bit of TDS going on. So I poked him in the comments and I said, you might want to back that off a little bit. He was very adamant about the negativity of Trump. This is what he had to say a couple of weeks ago.
Vote on crypto alone, and it's your standard orange man bad, and don't believe that Trump is pro crypto. And I'm a Democrat, and I love all that left wing stuff. So, of course, whenever somebody writes this garbage, I tweet about it because, I likes the Twitters. And so here's my Twitters. And this one surprised me a little bit. So I was commenting, quote, tweet on the article. And I said, i.e., in reference to the article, I'm on the left and understand that 20% of America that holds crypto is pretty pissed that Biden caused massive harm to our entire industry arbitrarily and capriciously. Still, we can't let the orange man back in. So vote for Biden anyway, even though he wants you to put you out of business. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. You could be pro crypto, but be so captured by a political ideology and philosophy that you're willing to go out of business and be destroyed and accept terrible downstream consequences because you're so captured by the philosophy. The reality is, and I'm so sorry, Blockworks, that you don't get this and understand this and platform these types of people, that if you don't support crypto, what you support are CBDCs. You support unlimited financial surveillance. You support the ability to deplatform anyone from society economically. They can just push a button and turn your money off at any time. You support that all the information flows should be curated and controlled. You don't want any social mobility because if you destroy all the industries that create social mobility and turn them over to government control, guess what? People can't move up the food chain and power floats to the top forever. And of course, we've witnessed transnational control of most nations these days, whether it be the WHO or it be the World Trade Organization or the BIS or any of these transnational bodies, FATF. They just tell you how to run your life, especially for smaller nations, which can't resist. All of these things don't mean anything, the people who write articles like this, because they don't understand them or don't think they can happen, even though they're happening right now, real time. We see it everywhere you look. You see it with overwhelming regulation that has come. You see it with regulatory capture. So everything has to be AML, KYC. Non-custodial wallets should be banned, and they should be completely controlled by centralized actors. And you should have to ask permission to be able to use your money. We see it everywhere you look, in every context, no matter what you do. And so we build an industry. We don't ask for permission, and we say, we're just going to do a different economic system. We're not going to ask for money. We're not going to ask for you to pass laws or anything. We're just going to voluntarily come together as an industry. And 53 million Americans did so. We all came together. We said, we are going to build an industry for us. So we have economic identity and agency and the free flow of information. We can vote for our own leaders. We can do our own things. We can be our own bank. Now, Robinhood has been hit with a Wells notice. Coinbase has been hit with a Wells notice. You got Kraken being sued. You got Binance being sued. You got Uniswap being sued. You got Ripple being sued. You got Consensus being sued with MetaMask, and soon probably to be the Ethereum Foundation itself. For what crime? The regulated businesses that are following all the regulations as money service businesses and facilitating well-ordered and regulated markets. For trading unregistered securities, when there's zero clarity of what that even means or how that works, and it's completely divergent from the rest of the world, and there's no path to even register. Why? Because this administration wants to kill this industry. It's that simple. And if you're not paying attention, maybe you missed it. And I'm so sorry, Molly, that maybe you did. But you have to ask a fundamental question. Why do they want to kill the industry? Is it because they don't understand it? In which case, they're now qualified to regulate quantum computers and AI and synthetic biology and all the other emerging technologies that are coming? Or is it because they do understand it and they understand the consequences of it? That you can't have unlimited financial surveillance, that you can't spend tens of trillions of dollars that you don't have, that you can't lie to people on a daily basis, that you can't manipulate the ballot, that you're actually constrained by algorithmic law. And if you lie and you're dishonest and you cheat, maybe, just maybe, you'll be caught. So I think they understand it. I think there's smart people floating around in that administration, even if the guy at the top is a little wonky. And I think they're terrified that 53 million Americans have access to technology that makes large chunks of the federal government irrelevant. And they realize that if that turns to 100 or 150 or 200 million, maybe, just maybe, that government monopoly on the printing of money, on the use of force, on consent, all of that's going to go away. And the social contract's going to change a little bit. You on the left seem to preach about equality, but then you're so able to hand power to the people who care the least about equality. Tell me, who does the resistance, getting rid of inflation and having equal access to financial systems help? Rich, powerful white people like me, or minorities, the underclasses who are currently excluded from the systems? Tell me, how are these systems racist at their core? You care so much about that. How are they when they don't even know who's using them? How can they discriminate? As the founder of a cryptocurrency, I have the same access to Cardano that everyone else does. There's no special backdoor for Charles Hoskinson. It's the same for Vitalik Buterin and Ethereum. It's the same for Satoshi Nakamoto with Bitcoin. It's the same for any legitimate cryptocurrency. Doesn't that seem more intrinsically fair? Doesn't that seem like we're actually pushing towards true equality? And shouldn't money and credit, identity, data, contractual rights work that way? So it goes from don't be evil to can't be evil. But then you have the audacity to say we should vote for people who want to rob us of that and hand it to the same government that has $34 trillion in debt, a war everywhere they find themselves, massive complexes, the education industrial, the military industrial, the health industrial complexes. The same government that can lie again and again. When we finally get some documents on COVID, a 143-page document gets released under FOIA with 143 pages of redactions. But we should just trust them wholesale and give them more power, give them a larger budget. All of us suffer from inflation. All of us have to cut the budget. All of us have to live within our means, but then they propose a budget for $7.3 trillion, an increase. It's the only thing that never has to decrease, the only thing that never has to live within its means, this budget, again and again, to bankrupt us all. We see it. It's lawlessness, absolute abject lawlessness. But lecture us on how, well, that's not the only thing we should vote for. Crypto is the antidote. It's what saves America. It's what makes us all better. It's what restores integrity. It's what balances the budget. It's what makes each and every American live in the world we wanted to have, where we're all free and equal, and we live in liberty. It guarantees those rights. And if you're a politician and you oppose those rights, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or anyone else, you're on the wrong side of history. You are fighting all of us in the industry. And you're trying to put us all in chains. You're trying to tell all of us that there are special people out there who should have more rights than the others. You're trying to say that you want to live in a world of no accountability and darkness. You want to live in a world where we're systematically stripped of our dignity, human rights, and agency. That's what you're saying. And I'm sorry, you should not be rewarded with more power, with re-election. It's not a partisan issue at its core. And I couldn't care less what Trump says. I couldn't care less what RFK says. I care what they do. That's what I care about. And right now, I will tell you, as a member of this industry, I've watched good friends go to jail who didn't need to. I've watched people be unbanked. I've watched a lack of regulatory clarity transform into an all-out war and an unapologetic stance saying we're criminals for asking for freedom. 53 million Americans are not criminals. We're not. We're Americans who love freedom, who love liberty, and just want to be left alone to pursue our own devices. And for some reason, for people like this, that doesn't matter because their favorite set of issues happen to be placated. You know what? Those issues don't matter because the underbelly of all of those issues is a desire for fairness and freedom. And guess what? It's being taken from you step by step by step. And just because you think that right now, right here, that you're a winner, guess what? You're not going to be. Any more so than those Generation Zero people in Cambodia or the people in the Soviet Union shortly after the revolution said, boy, look how great it is to kill the Tsar. Never give unlimited power and no accountability to the people at the top. Never remove the checks and balances, and never reward people who declare war on your ability to have economic agency with more power because they just so happen to promise you that maybe they'll give a little bit of it back. This is an important election. And as I've mentioned before, I've endorsed RFK. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I sure as hell will tell you what to vote against. If a politician is anti-crypto, regardless if they're Republican or Democrat, vote against them. Vote your conscience. We have a small window of time. And if America shuts this industry down in America, here's what's going to happen. Again, I will remind all of you, we will have CBDCs, unlimited financial surveillance, instant deplatforming of people, and no economic mobility. The people in power right now turn 53 million Americans into criminals. That's what they did. It's wrong. It always will be wrong, and we can't tolerate it. We just can't. So whenever we see articles like this, you just have to accept them and understand that people sometimes are too far gone or propagandized, or they really don't understand or care about what we're trying to do. But we can remind them of who we are and what we're doing.
So, gentlemen, thoughts?
It makes you ponder. Trouble is, the people that are printing out the money are private companies, aren't they? I mean, the Reserve Bank of America is not a government institution. It's a private institution. And if you printed money, you have for counterfeiting. It's all for the shareholders, isn't it? Really?
Well, are you talking about the symptom? I'm talking about what Charles just said.
Yeah.
What he's saying is what he's promoting is part of what I keep talking about. This transformative technology evolution of liberating all of us and getting control of ourselves, having the sovereignty and the provenance of our assets and who we are. And it is and will be, and of course there can be hard copy, but it will be conducted electronically. It will be in a form where all of that shit is integrated. Elon
I agree.
Elon's getting ready to kick off what I said back in, I guess it was October of 2022, the day that they announced the deal was done. And I did a 12-minute rant on he's going to take this thing, and it's going to be the video audio commerce platform, and it will become a service. It'll have services within it, which it already does. But he's going to aggregate the content in a just amazing way by deploying. When he took 80% of the resources that were there and got rid of those and kept the remaining 20%, and they poked themselves around and stumbled around for the first year while they got organized, but they took out a bunch of fat and they made it run better. And they set it up for even more awesomeness. So what Charles is talking about is the crypto side, which is essentially, it's all blockchain. The key is the cryptos only exist because of the blockchain, which is immutable. You can only add to it. You can have all kinds of levels of cryptography, but it's traceable, it's auditable, it's transparent. That's why they call it a trustless system, because you don't have to trust it. It's all there, and you can't alter it. And this crypto model will be when he was talking about the CDBCs, central CBDCs.
Say that fast 4 or 5 times, real fast.
Right?
Real
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. And here's to fast lips.
So what we're actually saying is that we can eliminate inside trading.
Well, what you eliminate is all of the everything that's transactional on a blockchain network is traceable. It can be.
You own it. You own it personally.
But you own it, right?
Yes, exactly. I
So,
understand that.
So the backdoor and the alternative asset exchange deals and what form that takes and what's in that form there's definitely going to be a lot of the traditional things, the precious metals and minerals and various things that are just, the shit that we've always had our preferences for. But there's going to be a whole new class and set of those types of assets via this digital aggregation integration. Yeah. So to me, the easiest way to think about it, which is, I think they get as close as maybe even has already happened as to what the future will be like, with the technology working with us and for us, not against us, right? Is just catch the latest, any of the episodes of the latest Star Trek series on Amazon. Star Trek Discovery and Strange New Worlds. That is serious tech and integration and harnessing and being able to bring the sweet stuff to reality. I mean, instant transporters. I mean, come on, who doesn't want that? Right? It's like, okay, I'm over there now. And that technology is one of the characteristics of the technologies that have been hidden and what we're about to finally get our hands on again. But back to what Charles was saying, Jim, your thoughts on this whole digitization of information and what Charles was talking about as far as if people are not for that moving forward, don't support them, because that is the future.
I mean, we've already seen what computers can do to destroy people. And if everything, your credit card, your amount of money you have, what you can watch on TV, that's all going to be controlled. And if your social credit score, I've been hearing that, I know China has it. They want to shove it down our throat. But if your social credit score goes below a certain level, then all of a sudden they can turn off your electricity. They can render your bank account all zero.
You can't catch a bus to work today, so you got to walk.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're not allowed more than just 15 minutes away from your home. Can't walk very far at that time. I mean, there's so many things that they can control that they have no right to, not in a so-called free country. So I don't know. I'm glad I'm not young, and I say that a number of other times, but I really am. All
I
of
mean, I
us.
know. Look, I know I might be breaking away from the story a little bit, but the way society's
No,
gone.
you wouldn't do that, would
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Oh,
No. Let me finish.
No.
Let me finish.
oh,
No.
You know what?
Should we
The
call
way
foul?
the way things are going at the moment. I mean, you go back 50, 60 years ago, we had a lot of country towns, and all of a sudden, these country towns disappear, and everybody starts living on what they call the suburbs of the city.
Yeah.
So you're contained, you're put into a location. You got nowhere else to go. I mean, you can't stay in these country towns because now they don't exist anymore. There's no services, no doctors, no whatever. Probably one little shop. Now that one little shop is only servicing travelers now. You know, I mean, and now everybody lives in the big city. And when I think of crypto, what I actually see is that if you've got control of your own finances, you shouldn't have to pay banks. You go back years ago, banks will turn around, bank with us. You had no bank charges and all these special fees. They were crying out for your money to bank with us, and they gave you a reasonable interest. And the banks grew. And then all suddenly, the cartel, in the government cartel, and this is what they are, they gave the rights to private organizations to print money for the state or for the country, right? Now, they call themselves the Reserve Bank of America or the Reserve Bank of Australia. They have nothing to do with government institutions. They're just contractors, just like Lockheed Martin, the Skunk Works. They're all contractors. And the only one that's making money are the shareholders. They've taken all public concerns like energy, energy, and other public things and transport. They've taken away from government control. Where when the government used to own the energy, right, electricity was at affordable, but they weren't making profits. You didn't have to worry about the frigging shareholders. Right now, when they sold off all these concerns, right, and then Reaganomics came in and everything goes. No, I'm all for Bitcoin, and I'm in for a lot of this shit where we can get rid of private organizations who are giving themselves $25 million bonus for the year, and not just the CEO, but also the board of directors. Right? Yeah. Nobody's worth that kind of money just in a job, as far as I'm concerned. Crypto will hopefully, and done right, what the sister Robert talks about, will take that away from them. It puts it back to the hand of the individual. You know, I mean, if I've got a product to sell, I should be able to sell it, and I shouldn't have to pay some other prick because they're handling my money. You know, why should I have to give somebody 10% or 30% of what I bloody make? You know, now you're going to do away with cash. Now, I like cash too. I really do. And I see another problem there, because at the end of the day, they're going to say, oh, but we'll produce an app for you. So if you want to go to a garage sale, you can pay. Yeah, exactly. And I agree with you, Jim. But the point is, you want to go to garage sale, or you want to go somewhere, you want to pay, you don't have cash anymore. I said, oh, no worries. We've got an app we can put on your phone for you. No worries. You got an app. Just you can still do your transactions even at a garage sale. But remember, the government will turn around and say, hold it, you just sold something for $20 at a garage sale. But now you're going to pay value-added tax, or what you call GST, goods and services tax, on that. Regardless where you bought it from, it's just another revenue. They
Well-
are controlling every aspect of what your money is going. When you do away with cash, they are controlling every aspect. Now, if you want to save your money, save it in Bitcoin for sure. Save it in Bitcoin, value it, And again, shareholders. I don't like shareholders. I mean, when somebody can buy have 1 million shares worth $35 per share, right, and then they decide to sell it all at the top price, then suddenly that share drops, and everybody starts panicking and selling again. From $35 share drops down to $10 a share, and the person that originally had those millions of shares at the beginning then buys them back again at a cheaper rate. I mean.
you sound like you're spending far too much time doing forensic work on how the system is working and not, and seeing a bunch of foolery, fuckery, and otherwise.
But that's what's happening.
And
you can't hide from it.
And we're with you. I'm with you. I think we all completely agree. Now, Gerald, I would like your opinion on this whole, because you and I have been doing the Geezer Geek thing, right? And we've been kind of poking around, a little geeky shit here, geeky shit there. But this is geek, what Charles is talking about here. What are your thoughts on what he had to say?
Obviously, like you were saying, the system's going to break down. It's going to happen one way or another. And it's basically it's just like going through a Windows upgrade or your latest app upgrade, like we do constantly trying to get this all to come to life. You might not like the changes. You might not be able to find what you're looking for right away, but eventually you'll get used to it. And the same way at the blockchain will happen, that your system's going to be tore down, but then it's going to be built back up. It's going to be better. And once you get used to it and get on board and flow up the stream, everything will be great again, because you'll have your own sovereignty over your own identity, your own money. Everything that you do is protected behind, the check marks and the verifications, and nobody else can mess with it. So the government can't come in and say, hey, no, this is wrong. We're going to change this. Nope. Sorry, Charlie. This is mine. I own it. Deal with it.
But
damn, that was sweet, man. Can I quote you?
There was an event in there was an event in 1859 that if it hit us today, everything that runs or is stored in ones and zeros would all go to zero, and that's a corona mass ejection, a big one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like the carotene event.
Well, it's predicted it's going to happen again eventually.
Sun's been going crazy lately. I mean, we got hit earlier this week. I think it was yesterday. I think there was some disruption.
Well, the latest solar cycle that we're in right now, there's some very interesting trend lines. Those data points that are so important. And Gerald, I think if I can summarize what you said, you basically agreed with what Charles was saying.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's all about trying to keep the outreach, the overreach from the government into our business that they really shouldn't have no control in and say whatsoever, including printing their own money, even though, like Terry says, it's not really the government, but it is hand in hand, and they use it at their will like it is their own bank account. So, I mean, it's just checks and balances is way better than what we have in the system now. And just like you were saying in our previous conversations, that the old system's going down. It's killing itself and it's degraded, and we have to build it up. And the only way to do that is through your plan that you've been talking about, Robert, is the blockchain for everything that we have that is identified with us, whether it's our money, our finances, our property, whatever, our products that we produce and put out. It's all got to be in there. And once it's all in the flow and we get our verification and our check marks, we're good to go. And we decide where our stuff goes and who gets it and who we trade with, who we don't trade with, and what information we give out. That's back in our control.
But even so, if something like a corona mass ejection were to hit us, or if some a nuclear weapon detonate, a neutron bomb, say, would be detonated above us, which would it could wipe every computer within 500 miles or 1,000 miles from zero.
It's not just that. Transport as well, Jim. Transport. Most cars with the electronic devices, computer chips in their cars. You know what I mean? Unless you got a car built with the old what they called distributors. The old engines. With the old points and no computer chips in the cars. They're the only ones that will work.
Yeah.
Modern cars, so they won't move. Yeah, correct.
Well, I agree. I think while we certainly have, this bubbling mass and mess of mass going around around the planet in different ways, you've got all pervasive, particularly in the last few centuries, of man causing the destruction of himself, right? And we are probably closer to that being actuated than we've ever been, although it's probably been there for a long time. So those changes in the planet, the planetary cosmology and the frequency physics around planetary cosmology and where that cosmology is, which is within a whole nother cosmology for it to exist in, et cetera, et cetera. It's a layered space of an infinite field of frequencies in which shit just kind of manifests and then settles into its form and then moves along with the constant motion of the fields of infinite frequencies. Now, how does that tie back to anything we were just talking about? Go.
Well, we have coronal mass ejections all the time, and it goes through cycles every 11 years, and we're in that 11th year or that cycle, and it's going to be to 2025. So we're going to have even more. I mean, if you've noticed, we've had northern lights popping up 2 or 3 times a week now, or whatever they keep saying it could be if it's heading towards Earth. So we'll be all right. We go through this all the time. Is there a chance that we might have a shutdown of our electrical system in parts or whatever? Yes. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what's happening right now with our government dealing overreach in our private life and trying to take control of us. We're trying to say, okay, there's a better system. The old system has to go. It's breaking down. It's decrepit. It's old. It's flawed. And if we can get the blockchain system in where we have control of our own identity, our own sovereignty, our own products, our own money, our own life, everything that deals with us personally, we have control.
And so you realize that not only is that some of the most brilliant shit I've ever heard, thank you very much again. That was succinct, right to the point, and that is what will be, in my opinion. It will. How it gets there is the question.
I agree to disagree to a lot of shit that's going on, because there has been a point in history where the system did work really well. Now it's these pricks that get in there that starts changing it to suit them. The corrupted, the people with no integrity. They're the ones that go in there to line their own pockets and to kind of grease their own hands. They're the ones you want to put somebody in a top job in the military or security, they're going to go through psychological profiles. They're going to be security checked, everything, mate. They'll go through them like a dose of Epsom salts, right? But the same thing should happen to people that are running the country. They should go through security checks. They should, any blemishes, any bad attitude, they've got to be 100% paid for it. They've got to have integrity. And it's all part of the psychological profile for anybody that runs it. You don't want a dictator or somebody that turns around and says, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And who's going to be the winner out of all this? I mean, definitely not you, but the system did work at one stage. There was,
Well,
but yes, things do change. We do evolve. I mean, that's
a variety and various versions of all of these systems have existed for a few centuries. We've been under the same kind of model. It actually was very similar to what the Romans were doing, Babylonians, and even some of the ancient Persian, the Mesoamerican cultures. They got their shit together with the economic system being a functional, dependable one, and all they had to deal with was a coin. Right? There were papers eventually created for the credit where the papers showed ownership of coin that was stored somewhere else. But and that's Templars and all those guys got that kind of thing going. But what we've got right now is on a level and scale that is never been going on from what we know right now in our history. We have a globally connected communities of carbon-based meat suits scattered in all kinds of varieties, shapes, forms, colors, textures, all personality, all kind of stuff. But yeah, see, Navi agrees.
Well, who's that politician in America? Sorry, who's that politician? You got some person in America who's been fighting for security of the country to introduce analog back into the system as a backup system. Right, get away from the computer chips to analog, right? Because what happened in Canada some years back when parts of Canada went dark, hundreds of people died during the winter months because of it, all because of a solar flare. And now he's been pushing, this American politician been pushing in the government to things like trucks. We should have a lot of analog trucks. The pumping stations should have analog pumps, not computerized. They should be sticking with the old analog, because they're not going to be affected by solar flares.
Well, that's technically true only from the wavelength perspective, but analog is even connected to the grid. If there's any kind of
if the grid's bloody controlled by frigging computers, you've got to get away from that and put it back to the manual.
Analog's going to go down too if you cut the power.
It's like it's like a reserve. It's like a reserve. I mean, it's like you watch Star Trek. Main power's gone. Okay, let's go to reserve. Backup, and you've got to have a backup system.
CT, you gave yourself your own thumbie.
Yeah, that's right.
That was cute, man. You nailed that one.
I did not. That one.
See, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing we're talking about, Terry. The system has to be rebuilt, including our power grid, including our financial, the way it flows and is handled, the way our government handles stuff. Once we get control and it's locked into this block and chain or that system, there's verifications and nobody can come back and change it. So everything goes forward. You got to flow, you got to stream it. It flows, and it incorporates commerce, incorporates finances, incorporates the government. Every aspect of our life will be verified, and nobody else can mess with it, including your sovereignty and your property, your finances, anything that you have that deals with you personally.
Yeah, it's all just going to
take the hands of the government out of your business, your personal life. The overreaches that they do all the time, they will be useless. They can't do anything with it.
As Jim says,
you will then have the agency over your own shit, which right now you don't have the agency because all of your shit is on somebody else's shit. There's 100 different systems in your digital just existing right now where data about you is stored, and it's yours technically because it's you, but the ownership of that data is wherever the hell it sits. And we all know the feeling when you forget your password.
Hey, what happens if you got the solar flare coming in, mate, and everything's off grid now? You lose your money, or your digital currency just disappears.
It'll still be
Hey,
there.
hey,
No,
hey, hey,
it's
where's your
stored on
water going to
wallet.
come? Hey, where's your water going to come from? Who's going to pump your sewage away? I mean, we're
Oh,
going to be
well,
up to here and shit, aren't we? I mean, let's face it. You know
well,
what I mean?
that's the thing, Terry, and that's one of the most important things that you're bringing up that also needs to be considered. Number one, just as Gerald pointed out again, eloquent, snips coming. The systems are broken. They are beyond repair or fixing. They need to be replaced.
Foobar.
There's everybody's talking about the great reveal, the great reset, the great rethink. It's the great replacement is what's about to happen. All of this shit. And then this is a thing, again, that's really important about not only what Charles was talking about, but Michael Saylor, all of the people that are in Elon, all of the people that are in this digital asset industry that is emerging. It's like, it's kind of cool because the small growth of it, they're going through the test phases just by public use. And it's like, well, that's a great way to test it. So you minimize the risk, but all of a sudden it's looking really good and making a lot of sense. And a lot of that is because of exactly what Charles talked about in that piece. When you liberate the use, when you release the control of the information and give it to the owner of that information, and that owner has the agency over that, meaning control, meaning that is sovereign to you, and you only let out the pieces that are needed for whatever interaction that's required for it to take place. So our entire system, all of that interaction is going to be replaced by a frictionless, trusted, secure system that we can all go, well, that's kind of like got a little Star Trek going on there. That's almost to you don't need money, but at least it's in the direction where there's an accountability. There's the sovereignty, the chain of custody. All of those things about the data you create is currently in the hands of others. This movement that Charles is talking about, what I'm promoting and pushing, is an infrastructure of transparency and trust and security where all of that shit can be managed and you can control what's yours. That's ultimate liberty in an information age. We are in we're in the information interrogation and phase. It's like we've known there's a lot of information, especially over the last 20 years. Now all of a sudden we realize that there's a lot of that to interrogate. Oh, well, here's a handy tool just in time that we call artificial intelligence. And it's designed to go interrogate large, what they call language models, which is really large media models. And we can go scour that shit in a blink of about 1,000 tokens, because we suck down a lot of energy when we do this, of course. So that's going to be another value add, is that all of a sudden the power requirements just to power this shit, when it finally gets to a point where it again is independent, it's going to be liberated. I think that we're going to see an AI bubble.
Yeah,
we're not seeing the beginning of it already.
I think the most important thing, I mean, it's okay to go digital, but the point is they've got to have a backup system that doesn't get affected by EM, solar flares, or anything like that. You know, it's got to be protected in such a way that you just can't wake up
no
one
matter
morning and
what
say,
system we have to do that. And it all starts with rebuilding everything, the infrastructure and everything. And that will all come in place when the system crumbles and we have to start replacing it. We should have been already replacing our electrical system now, our power grid. But that will happen. And whether we're analog, digital, whichever way you want to do it, it's going to be affected by some life crisis, whether it's a solar flare, earthquake, whatever. If it's a life-threatening event, it's going to affect your system no matter what you have. But the blockchain will be there regardless.
Shielding system.
Yeah.
A secure shielding system you got to have for sure, you know?
Well, yeah, but the thing is yes, that's important. That isn't you must be aware of protecting that data in any way and securing it and storing it and backing it up the best way you can. And that's going to be an entire industry. And if it already is a small burgeoning industry. I mean, there's all kinds of services where it's like, you want to store your shit forever? How about putting it in a quartz rock?
Well, how does it?
Because that's already been done. You can store petabytes in crystals, and that's the next part of technology that we're going to. And those have survived all the flares because they are crystals. But that's not the point. I think your point, Terry. And correct me if I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, don't waste your time. I'm right anyway.
See what I see. This look. Bear with me, right? What I see, the biggest danger to all this is when the solar flares and everything collapses, everything, financial market, everything. That's when the government takes over and says, "Okay, now we're under martial law." Now that's worse than freaking communism.
Well, that's an aspect.
I mean, are you going to have martial law if you like it or not in that situation?
Yeah, but none of their vehicles or airplanes will be able to fly.
That's true.
That's right, because
their surveillance system is gone. Everything they use to interrogate us, everything they do to track us is dead, including 98% or 95%. Pardon?
As you are aware, Jim, you can have all these computer parts, you can have all these parts in boxes, not even connected, no energy connected to it, no power connected. They don't get affected. All they got to do is reassemble those shit, and you can build another plane as long as they're not connected to any source of power. It's only when you're connected to a source of power.
No,
right.
Wait a minute, Terry. Are you connected to a source of power right now?
Well, obviously, yes, I am. Actually, your body is running on an electrical charge. So technically, an EM charge should knock you out, shouldn't it? But it doesn't. Why?
Well, like I said before, if we're having a life-threatening crisis, whether it's disastrous for the whole planet or a section or a country or whatever, that's going to happen no matter what system you have. Exactly. But the blockchain will always be there, and when we rebuild it, get it going again, and hopefully make our electrical grid better, then it'll be back online right where it was. Everybody has what they had because it's all secured, checked, and verified. But I mean, that's not what we're talking. We're not talking about solar flares. I mean, that's a whole different subject. I mean, that affects everybody.
Is an ideal.
Well, and the thing about a catastrophic event like a CME, a solar flare, is that everybody will be fucked. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
It's not. It will be, if anything, it will be called the Great Equalizer, because all of a sudden, it's going to be every man, woman, child for themselves. And that's that whole
nobody be thinking that, and nobody will give a fuck about blockchain by then when that shit happens.
Oh no. There will be few precious things that people will give a fuck about.
Exactly.
It ain't going to be digital shit. Although those who stored their shit, once the system was brought back online, can now all of a sudden just access their shit. And the thing is that all of your shit can be stored on a secure EMP proof wallet size case of all your information. You can go put it right there. That might be a handy thing for being around anything where there's going to be some kind of energetic pulse or disruption in the energy systems and the grid that are going to cause everybody some serious hooey. I mean, you think people? I mean, I remember the remember that when they first started doing the Black Friday things, and it was like the mid 2000s up through maybe, early teens. And it was like this big deal, and they were looting them, and people were fighting, and they're killing each other over the last box on the display for Black Friday, before Christmas. And, it's just this mob mentality of, well, I must have one of those because it is in my DNA or something. And they go and they create all this chaos and screw everything up. Well, you don't see that anymore. What you see now is people going, I don't care what day it is. Those people just said something that pissed me off. And I'm going to go in here and knock this door down. I'm going to take some shit because I have just earned shit because I've been offended by whatever those people said that I didn't like. So I got one of those go past the law cards. And so I get to kick it in, grab it, and get with it. And you go, God, I remember, when us geezers here were growing up back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, that precious 20, 25 year period of just when awesome got started. Okay. That was the shit then. Jim, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And today's kids and young adults have no idea.
No idea.
What a wonderful ride that is. I mean, like I've seen the pictures of the T-shirts. I grew up before America turned to shit, and that breaks my heart because
I need one of those.
Yeah, I really do love this country, and I spent 27 years of my life with if they needed me to put a gun in my rifle in my hand and go to the front line, I would be required to do it. I'm too old for that now, so I don't have to worry about it. But I was fully intended to go 20 years plus active. I had about 5 years active, and then I was out 10 years. And because I'm an aviation photographer and I like airplanes, I joined the Air Guard primarily to get access to 210 Air Force, Air Guard, Air Force Reserve bases in the continental United States. And more than 2/3, 3/4 of them are gone. But I shot Kodachrome.
Wait a minute, hold on. Did you say 3/4 or 2/3 of the 3/4 are gone?
No, I was figuring out how much it was. I said 2/3. Said no, 3/4. 3/4 of the bases that I've been on. I went in the Air Force in 1962, so that was a long time ago. God, that was forever ago.
Wait a minute. Do you have to scroll through when you're filling out something? You got to find the year.
Yeah, but let's get it right, Jim. Let's get it right. Those bases now are in other countries. That's true.
Well, I think that what's happening, and I want to go back to Scott's rant. There was a lot of passion in his rant, and I thought that it was well thought out, and he's not going to throw himself out there like that unless, well, he doesn't have to because he was canceled. He was the author of Dilbert, had it for like 35 years, and he made this one podcast about saying that his opinion that if you're in a place where the people, where the majority of the people don't like who you are, you should leave. And it just, kind of common sense. Well, Washington Post, everybody got their panties all wadded up, and it was this big thing about Scott Adams says racist shit, and everybody, all the papers canceled him, publisher canceled him, all of the people he's worked with just said, "Oh, got to dump Scott." So 2 years later, he's now running his own empire, doing his cartoon exactly the way he wants, doing more production than he has ever done before, and has built his own little digital community, and is just released an awesome book called Reframe Your Brain, which is awesome. And the guy's killing it. So he's one of those guys who got canceled out of the system and came back and said, well, all right, I'll do it my way. And so now he owns his own shit, does as much as he wants. So I like the fact that what he did was laid out the components. We got this, we got that, we got this, we got that. Right. I thought it was funny that this week in the Hunter hunt in Congress, the laptop that 51 security officials said was propaganda and a plant, was that laptop was used this week as evidence.
You know, personally, I don't think
you go. Excuse me, are you? I mean, you know, we can see this, right?
I personally can't see this change coming. I really can't. Unless you change your congressman. The congressmen have, as I said, have integrity, and they've got to be visionaries. I mean, otherwise you're not going to get this new system at all, because they will block it every way. If they haven't got the integrity and they're not honest, and I tell you something now, the shit's not going to come down. They're not going to allow it to, because it's going to upset it's going to upset them.
I think as soon as the tapes and the flight logs going to Epstein Island are made public, which I believe will probably be made public in October, like the October surprise. Instead if it's them, it's going to be us with the October surprise.
Fair enough.
And those people who are listed, and there's a whole pile of them, they're not going to be able to show their face. And you already have a large number of longtime politicians on both sides of the aisle, which is really just one side of the aisle, announced that they're not running for re-election either this cycle or in 26.
Suddenly retiring, eh?
Yeah, and some of them just literally retiring now. Maybe they're saying, well, if I retire now, I don't have to worry about retribution for all the illegal criminal activity that I participated in during my reign here in the Senate or in the Congress. I think what should they do, and I think it's this was back in Roman times, maybe farther back, I don't know, but someone said that that you were before you could run for an office, you were audited. They knew absolutely everything about you as far as financial and influential and whatever. And at the end of your 2 year, because you can only run for 2 years, they do a financial audit on you, and if they find any graft or corruption, you're sentenced to death. Now, that would be a way to run Washington, D.C. I would probably get some opposition from from PETA.
I was actually reading an article about Obama. And I don't know how true it was. It was about when he went into government, he was only worth so many million, about 3 or 4 million. By the time he finished his presidency, he was worth something like about 38 or 40 million. I mean,
Terry, that's just how our shit works now up here.
Somebody turned around and says, but if you work out what the presidential wages is, I should say, the calculation doesn't, you shouldn't be that bloody wealthy. Where did that extra cash come from?
Well, there's probably, depending on who's elected and who's president in 2025, there's probably a good possibility that there's going to be a real good accounting of where all that money came from, and it's not going to be pretty. And they can do it now because the deep state and the Democrats, did it through Trump, so they've set precedent. They can now go and audit all their family members, all their close associates. and it may, you'll probably see some leave this country, very, very well-known politicians going to and having residence in a country that doesn't have extradition.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But they want to bring it back. We probably have means to do that too.
Yeah.
So,
Somebody
Well,
knocking
I'm
on the
thinking
door
that
at 1 a.m. Hello. Yeah, carry on.
I'm thinking that the change ahead over the next 5 months, right? We got 5 months before the triggers are pulled and the tallies are wanked. Tallywhacker? What was that? So, but between now and then,
yeah, my wife's in the background. Oh, you can see her.
there she is. Hey, Rosemary.
Hi,
the reason-
Rosemary.
when I jumped up and left, I don't hear anything on this ear at all. So I just have the thing plugged in one ear. I'd locked the front door because when she's gone, she's in her car. Well, I didn't realize that her girlfriend was picking her up. So she was banging on the window shutters, and I
Let me in. Let me in.
And then I heard my dog barking. Oh my gosh! My wife is locked out of the house, so that's why I went running to let her in. So where were we? Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I knew that you guys were going to wander somewhere here, so I was going to let you get it out so we could get back on topic and try to stay there.
Okay.
That means you, Terry.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I know. I'm really upset that I missed the last show because the topics you had there, mate, I would have had.
I know it, and you went on all kinds of little rabbit trails here for a little bit, and it's like I know he's got to get some out because they haven't been on a while, and he's got to just let it squirt out and say okay. But the topic is about what is going on between now and the end of the year. What do we think based on current information? What does the directional trend analysis look like from your own perspective? And we'll focus on the two major things and just kind of give a general thing. But the first thing is clearly there's a marker in the sand of time that's tapped and tagged as the election.
Well, people have got to realize in America, and not just in America, I think the rest of the world, that each country, you're one nation. Each country is a nation. And the people have to stand together and don't be divided by religion, politics, or anything else. I mean, at the end of the day, Joe Blow has to go to work. He has to pay the bills. I mean, just because somebody votes for a dickhead doesn't mean to say that they are a dickhead. It just means that their opinion and their views are different to yours.
Are.
Oh, well, who knows? But the thing is, the system, yes, it's got to be changed. For a start, sponsorships got to be changed. Get sponsorships out of politics.
Yes.
I mean, if I'm going to give you $1 million to back you up, I want something back in return. I want something back in return. I'm going to give you $2 million. I want favors to be done. I can tell you, a corporation doesn't give out $2 million.
So Terry, let me ask you something. Let me ask you something about that.
Yeah.
If say I was running for something and I had a platform, and my platform had, I want crypto, I want transparency, I want names, and I want asses, and I want action.
Yep. That's your political drive. That's your political...
basically so that's my platform. Okay.
Yep.
And let's say that you've strangely, oddly, in a moment of lucidity and realization, agreed with me. Mm-hmm. And you went, I want what he's gonna do. Yeah. So I want to make sure that he can do what he says he's gonna do.
And
I
there should be
have-
accountability
I
too.
have-
And the accountability should be there too if they get in the government.
well, everybody needs to be transparent. And that's the
Exactly.
one of the big reveals that's going to happen here, in my opinion. There's going to be this whole thing about, well, like Twain said, if you always tell the truth, you don't have to worry about remembering anything.
Right.
Because that's what you have to. If the transparency is there, then the trust will be there, and that's the problem. This all of this shit is dark shadows, back alleys, cooked books, obfuscated somehow in shell and this and that. All of it is not transparent, and that's of course where all of the money's made. But that money's made because that's the way the system is corrupted. Once you put in place a transparent system, corruption can't exist. Only deals can exist. Only agreements can exist. Only transactions that are within agreements and deals are made get done. We're already at that with everything that we're doing now. We've been set up for the last couple of decades to get used to this, card system of, I've had cash in my pocket maybe twice in the last year and a half, and that total has maybe been $20. I don't do anything that requires a fiat physical form.
Right.
And that's where we all actually are.
And because
Go ahead.
because of the generation I grew up in, I have in my pocket right now probably $600, and sometimes I have as much as $1,500.
Well, tonight's on you, Jim.
Yeah.
You got the cash, brother. It's on you.
I mean, I don't know how it is in
But
America.
also-
I don't know
but I'm
how it is
also
in America,
armed.
but in Australia, they passed a law many years ago that wages had to be put into your bank account, so it's all electronically paid into your bank account.
Yeah.
I assume that's the same in America as well.
What kind
Yes.
of stuff? Are you talking about government services?
No, everybody that works, their wages gets transferred each week or each.
Oh, the
fortnight.
entire economy?
Yes.
Oh,
The wages.
I knew you guys were going down the toilet. I didn't know you'd reach that far down the bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
come on.
Look, hey, whoever you work for, right? You give them your banking details, and your wages get paid straight in the bank. Now, years ago, you used to get cash in an envelope. You can count it and put it in your pocket. You can save a bit under your friggin' mattress or whatever, how you want to save it. Today, you can't. It all goes into the bank, and then all of a sudden, the cartel, and that's what they are. They decided to all suddenly now we've got bank fees and bank charges because all your money's now going into the bank. They've got control of it. Then they started with the GST, value-added goods taxes, and all that.
That's
stuff.
exactly what I'm talking about. All of that system of managing all of those digital representations of your physical assets is done in a system that's not designed to do what it's doing right now at a minimum.
Yeah.
It is not optimized in any way, shape, or form. It's a complete clusterfuck of intermediaries of things that are causing friction in getting anything done. That's why it costs so much to do it.
Now, look, as a
So
pensioner,
when you implement this, and see, it's a difficult thing sometimes to, because we're so used to this system that we have been using, and rightly so, that it's hard to imagine it in a different way, but doing the same thing even better.
Right.
And that's so the easiest way to think about what this technology represents and how it will work is to think about going back to a time where there was a small village or a small community, a group of villages, and they didn't need money. They exchanged resources and they bartered for the exchange of goods and services. I got pigs, you got chickens. We agree on a number and we swap and it's done. There is nothing else. There might be, if it's a bigger town, a recording for, whatever metrics that they need to measure in for the townage. And actually that's where counties comes from, is an area in which it is counted. People don't realize that. That's where that term comes from. But all of that was done within the community on what we called barter. We bartered. And we actually barter everything now. But now there's all these different ways and delineations of commerce and currency, which is energy, that one can exchange from one to another on when the most important fundamental thing that's about to change is finally properly applied and appreciated in the conduct of commerce. And that is the word and the term and the action, the noun and the verb of value. What is value? Value, like ethics, morals, fairness, all this is very subjective. It's very personal. I know Jim likes shit that I know I might like, but I don't like it as much as Jim likes it. I could get in trouble doing some of the things that Jim likes. And I prefer to stay on this side of the law.
I just drive fast.
I'm always in trouble. I'm always in trouble.
So my point is that
Yes.
being able to think about things and what value means and how you exchange, how you define, agree, and exchange value is going to be the fundamental thing that will drive an entirely new model. Because at the end of the day, that's all we do, is it's all based on value. What is the value? There's a metric that's assigned that people use to navigate, mitigate, maximize whatever the transaction of value that they're engaged in. Whether it's in the back street in cash, one of my favorite phrases, cash only, never in writing.
Yeah. So basically, to take it to the consumer aspect, we're all on the blockchain. Let's just say we're all on the blockchain. I have X amount in my bank account and it's verified, checked. You're on the blockchain. You can see when we do a transaction that I have the money because it's been verified. It's secured in my, let's say, wallet, just like Bitcoin.
Same thing. It's like your credit card. Same thing.
You, Terry, you have an automobile for sale and you want X amount of dollars. And you can see that I am good for X amount of dollars. I can look up your car and see whether I like it or not, just like we do now. And I can see that, yes, on the blockchain, Terry is verified and he does indeed own ownership of that car. So then the transaction becomes between me and you, nobody else.
Yep.
Unless I don't have the funds, and then there might be a third party that is also on the blockchain and verified, and you agree to the rates or you don't agree to the rates. So there's never a middleman unless you choose or have to use that option. But otherwise, if it's a straight barter system between me and you, there's no fees unless there's a transaction fee on the blockchain. I don't know how that works, but my money will transfer to you and I will take ownership of that car, and it's verified back and forth. There's no doubts, no squandering, no ripping anybody off, because your car's been verified that you owned it. I've been verified that I had the funds and it's transferred.
Sounds wonderful.
That is exactly right. That is exactly right. And that is a great example of how we can actually, in the Northern Hemisphere, reach down south to our wanker brothers and sisters underneath and lend a helping hand to pull them out of the the little communist continent that they become.
And as Robert would, as you would say, Robert, these content creators, like people that write music, they can really screw over Sony. They can tell Sony, go and take a friggin' hike. You don't own the rights to my song anymore.
Right?
Right. And if I want to use somebody's song, I just say, hey, can I use it? And they say, yeah, it costs you $50. Why not? Okay. Good. And they give you the right. Bang. There it is. You don't have to go through Sony and pay out $300 or $400 or something they didn't really create. They just bought a bunch of friggin' music, and now they own the rights to everybody else's music. It's like when Michael Jackson bought out Sony, bought shares in Sony, right? He just didn't buy one song. He bought their bloody filing cabinet. Basically, at the end of the day, you know what I mean?
Right. The whole deal with the blockchain, that once it gets going, it's just going to take one industry or one big name to come on board and say, nope, we're only dealing it this way. You're going to be verified. I'm going to be verified. And we're having this way. Then more will have to do it. If you want to deal with this company, then you're going to have to join into the blockchain and become verified. And the government won't be able to reach in and take anything out of it because it's secure and it's locked. It's almost like a peer-to-peer system. But more people will come on, and it'll create enterprises. You'll have art dealers that'll join and become verified, and there will be a set rate across the board. It's going to even the board out, so nobody really will have an advantage other than maybe they might move more art than you do, and you'll have a choice to go with them or not.
In a way, it's the evolution of the fan. The follower, the supporter model that we have right now. What'll happen is, I think it's going to, what there'll be, all of a sudden there'll start springing up these, once the liberation and the use and the acceptance of the blockchain and the crypto and the asset and the sovereignty and the provenance model is available to people. Once they have that, they're going to go out there and go, no, wait a minute. I can do this too. I can be a part of this. I can be engaged with all the other shit that's going on a level field, because it is what people, they will gravitate with common interests. So I think we're going to see is what known as self-organizing collectives. And wherever these are, and I think they'll take all kinds of forms, there'll be all kinds of delineations with agreed upon crypto integration and value, where members of all these organized collectives of specific interests have gone in and they've created their community, and hell, they've brought together their content and they've created this awesome place of all kinds of great content by people who do that kind of thing. Now you have the marketplace for the awesome, for whatever it is, woodworker or art, something, music, whatever, doesn't matter. So you can join these groups because the groups are governed by what they call smart contracts. The smart contract is basically, this is how things are done when you interact with this community. And if you want to interact with this community, this is how things are done. And you check yes or no. Then everybody who's in that community has signed on with the same agreement. Everybody has the same, or treated the same, or interacted the same by the rules of the same. And that's an entirely different model, because that smart contract will not only, it will be what will provide the administration, if you will, of the like-minded content creation. But it's going to give people the different way to think about, how in the hell do I interact with people? Do I have a business and suppliers and customers and all that shit that goes into whatever it is that I do, that I make? And the thing is, like, you can be really lucky, and you can be people like Terry, who sits down there in the bottom of the planet, not a lot to do.
Oh, it's just stretching me nuts every day, mate. Just
there you go.
Yeah, why not?
So, Jim, what do you think? Do you think that I'm smoking too much of my favorite brand, or do you think that it's possible that there really is a future that can really make all of the shit we're dealing with right now look like a bad dream?
I mean, but yeah, based on how Gerald, how you described what blockchain and does, in a transaction. The question I have as a writer is, how am I going to sell my books? If is there,
Well, once this is in place, all these places like Barnes and Noble, Amazon, they will have to be part of the blockchain. They will join because that's where the people are. That's what they're using. So they will be verified. You as an author will make a contract, like Robert was saying, whatever the going thing is, and that will be an official verified document check. That's an agreement between you two. So it's verified with Amazon, is it verified with you? And if somebody orders your book, they know, okay, this is Jim Goodall's book. We got a check mark that's verified that this is the real product that we're getting, and the exchange goes.
This is what I get. This is what you get.
Yep, you get your royalties from Amazon because it was guaranteed and verified, and it goes straight to you. No other processing allowed. And I get my book from Amazon because it was verified, and they're verified that I have the money in my account, and it's just a smooth transaction. And everything is guaranteed because it's all been verified and it can't be changed.
yeah.
So basically, it'll still work on the card. It'll still work on the card. Tap and go.
Oh, all of that will be integrated. But basically, what it does, Jim, is that your books, the ISBN number you got for your book, the Library of Congress, you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that ID is what's used around the world to track you and your shit. Right?
Don't call Jim's stuff shit. Thank you, Jim.
Hey, he is the grand poopah of poo of the Geezer Geeks here. So he can take a load thrown at him. I've seen him bob and weave before.
You like throwing shit, don't you? You keep saying, let's throw a turd on the table. He's always throwing turds.
So, by the way,
yes.
Terry, you haven't been on since I think it was last Saturday, actually, when we talked about the fact that Jim was on Fade to Black with Jimmy Church.
Oh, what's that?
Just over a week ago.
No,
That
good.
was fun.
Actually, I did a show yesterday. Didn't you know that?
You did what?
You did?
Yeah, but it wasn't personally. I threw on a video, didn't I? One of my creations is about Pine Gap.
Oh,
I didn't see it.
One of my AI documentaries went for about 36 minutes, I think, something like that.
I may have notifications for you turned off. I'll have to go back and take a look.
Thanks, Robert.
Well, I'm just calling it like
you're
I
honest.
see it,
You're honest.
It's true. I don't know. I could be. That's,
Now my wife will get on my back now and say, did you just call Robert a prick? She'll get on my, how dare you use language like that? She'll kind of wrap me across the knuckles now. Well, she's a fan. She's your fan, you know that. And she's Jim's fan as well.
Well, it's not like we need more fans. I mean, between the three of us in particular, because you've been out for a while, but the three of us have been spreading shit all over the place.
I know. I've been keeping an eye on you guys. Well, we
had to make up for you. Plus,
you do know how to spread it, don't you?
And yes, we have done that. I mean, tonight we're on 5. We're on 4 platforms on 5.
And just remind me never to have peanut butter and jelly off you, okay?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. peanut butter and jelly. I don't know what you're talking about. Is that an Aussie thing from like
No, it's what you guys
Bart
eat. That's
shrimp
what you
on the
spread.
boobies?
It's what you spread, isn't it?
Australians don't like peanut butter.
Hey, you said
Oh yeah,
we
that's too
do
bad.
like peanut butter. No, it's you guys
No.
that do not like Vegemite.
That's it. Ugh. I tried some when I was in
You
Australia.
guys,
Yeah, but
guys
you're not
like
supposed to put
Nutella.
it on. You're not supposed to spread it like peanut butter. It's a very fine. It's so strong in flavor. You just a kiss with it, you know. It's nice, Jim, when you know how to eat the bloody shit properly.
I was in Australia when I was given to by an Australian.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's good tucker.
yeah. Hey, I'm gonna have to run, boys and girls. So
So
We'll catch up, Jim.
so we have to fill in all the rest of the gaps
yeah,
because you're gonna bail on us and make us talk. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
And everybody, good night. Except for you,
Good night,
Terry. It's
Jim.
middle of the day.
Good catching up with you, buddy.
Yeah, you have a good one.
And
Anytime.
Jim, we'll see you Saturday night, right?
Yep, I'll be here Saturday night.
All right.
All right.
sure.
See you then, buddy.
All right.
Thanks.
You
Have a good
take
night.
care. Adios.
See you, Jim. Adios. You right there. He's gone. So when are we going to have a music show, Robert?
That's a good question. I have my stuff ready to go to get set up and test a new iteration of it, which I need
Right.
to do.
Right.
And I'll probably do this weekend. So I'm thinking maybe next week I might have
Yeah.
something where I feel like I want to try out that new thing I mentioned to you called Jack Trip.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'll write. Shit, I forgot that. Sorry. I just write that down that I do not forget. Shit, I just found out. Hey, I've got a pen here and it's got a camera in it. Even though, where did that come from? Shit.
You have a pen with a camera in it?
Yeah,
What do you mean? Where did it come from? It's not yours?
it is mine, but it's been.
Oh.
See, there's the camera on it there. Yeah, it's the bloody something's broken on it. I don't know. Still works. Jack Trip is called, is it?
Yeah, jacktrip.com. It's designed for live remote playing, so the latency is nice and low, and I haven't tried it yet. Reviews seem to be good, but there's nothing like firing it up and seeing if it works.
Yeah.
And it
why
would
not?
be the ultimate test is to
We don't have to go live with it. We can actually just kind of just amongst ourselves until we get it perfected, and that one,
yeah.
it'd be good. Okay, where is Gerald gone to?
Let's see, he's
I'm
down
still
there.
here.
I don't know. He's
Okay.
he's there.
He's probably having a toke.
I'm still here.
He's coming
Having
back.
Having a toke.
So do you think the stuff that I showed you earlier tonight between Scott Adams and Charles Hoskinson about, I mean, like I said, I thought that there was some very poignant, concise, accurate, and passionate from both of them. And both of them are on totally different ideological spectrums. But I thought they were saying the same thing, focused from their perspective.
Obviously,
and I think that is a symptom of what I've been calling as the rise of the pissed off peeps.
Yeah.
I think these two gents, Scott was today, Charles was a couple of weeks ago, like on the 14th of May.
Right.
So there's more and more of that kind of expression going on in this, and it's all trending in the same general direction. It's like Okay, you're all heading in this direction, saying the same thing in different ways. And I think we're going to see more of an influence and important component going forward than people are giving it credit for.
Yeah,
I think. Sorry.
like we were saying, it's only going to take a few main individuals, whether it's like an Elon or a big business or some banking industry, to come on board for the blockchain to start taking hold and say, we're just kind of like what Russia did. They said, we're only going to deal with rubles.
Right.
I mean, once somebody says, okay, we're only dealing with the blockchain and we're going to be verified, and this is a system we're going to use. If you want to deal with these big companies, or if you want to say all the people are getting together and say, okay, we're going to start getting verified, then in order to trade your commerce or do your business, you're going to have to join also. So it's going to be a rollout, and people are going to have to join. Companies are going to have to join if they want to be manufacturers or deliverers to a company that supports them. Then they're going to have to be in the blockchain too and become verified, and it's all going to fall in.
But wasn't that basically how the war in the Middle East all started off with? It's like Gaddafi wanted to trade in gold, and was it Saddam Hussein also wanted to trade in gold, and they all wanted to, with their own currencies, and of course the free world didn't like it so much. And of course, after the Iraq war, I mean, Iraq spent running and they burning the oil field because they know what it's all about. I mean, I'm not kind of. This is not a pick on the American people. I mean, it's their politics in the issue itself, you know. But the corrupt few.
Well, hold on,
again,
T. You may, I don't know if you're pulling back on dissing us Yanks up here.
No,
because you're trying to be politically correct. But let me be the first to tell you, our shit sucks. Okay, and there's a bunch of idiots running around fucking the thing up, and it's
exactly.
We are,
few, as I said,
and they are a minority. I would agree. They are a few, noisy, with a lot of volume and velocity, and they're just always in there stirring shit up. You know, they're taking their fingers, they're putting in the pot, and they're whipping things around, and that has worked for a while. But it's run out of. It's got no more game. It's run out of juice. It is being exposed for the foolery that it is, but the fuckery that it's caused. And that is what people. That's what Scott was talking about. That's what Charles is talking about. Their people are looking at the foolery and seeing the resulting fuckery. And they're going, wait a minute. We need less of that, whatever that is.
Actually, it's going to be an interesting election.
We need less of it.
The next election is going to be a very interesting one because there's going to be a lot of eyes on. People will be looking and dissecting it. They'll be looking at it in such a way they'll be looking for corruption. I personally feel they'll be eyes open this time.
And why is that? Because they did such a stellar job proving that there was no need to worry about that last time. Okay. And that's the thing, is that's again what these two gentlemen we're talking about is like, look, the stupidity is way over the obvious point, and it's time for no more of that.
Yeah.
It's time for the adults to show up. It's time for the dads to join into the conversation. It's time for the moms to get a timeout and give them a break, because if there has ever been a more onerous, odious attack on humanity, on one of the sexes in history, I don't know of it, but what's been done to the women of the world over the last 20, 30 years is an abomination. They've turned them nutritionally, psychologically, mentally, biologically, ideologically. There has been a major attack on our girls and our women, our female folk, and it's been perpetrated by, yes, a bunch of asshat malicious men, but a lot of it's come from their own. There have been these women that have gone after their own kind that has caused a level of disruption in the biosphere, in the cognosphere, in the what's going on here sphere. And that is what it's being exposed. All of the sex trafficking, the human trafficking, all this stuff are just, the extreme expressions of it. But it's psychologically been perpetrated on the rest of the populace, of the peeps that are now pissed and are now rising. That's what Scott and Charles are talking about, in my opinion.
I did. I got the message, and I can hear the anger as well and the frustration of it all. There was a lot of anger in that, and that's good, because there's only one way to describe a corrupt system. It's with anger, because it's shocking, and it shouldn't be. I mean, you put people in power, and they're supposed to do what's right for the people, and the people don't get a say. I mean, it's all.
Well, that's because there's no transparency.
Yeah.
For the governed to have transparency of the governed by. See, all of it is for the people. Are supposed to say, have the ability to say, this is what we want. Everybody agrees. Yes. Okay. Who are we going to put in, give the responsibility to make sure that happens? That dude over there, we're going to call him this, and we're going to give him that to make sure that he keeps an eye on our shit. Because, we're a squirrely bunch of carbon-based meat sacks. We are wily, crafty, imaginative, and sometimes nefarious and highly questionable. Because that's just who we are. We're humans. But when everything that is done in order to interact within a self-organizing collective of other carbon-based meat suits who have read the terms and conditions, these will be the first terms and conditions that will be widely read, and it will be thought after a while that, you mean people never really read this stuff? So it is a radical shift in the way that we perceive what we are used to doing and how it's done, and to see it in a different way and realize that it can be done so much differently, so much easier, so much better, and so much more secure. And that's going to be one of those mind shifts.
I think
I think it will cause some mental fornication.
What disturbs me, and I am disturbed anyhow, but what really disturbs, I know, I knew you'd get that. What really disturbs me is the division in people in the US. I mean, in Australia, we can have political differences. We can call each other wankers, but we still stay friends. But I've noticed the hatred people between each other in America. As an outsider looking in, our people are so resentful towards each other.
It's designed to do that. It's designed for that. That is why it's causing it, because it's designed to do that. So they're getting what they plan to get. The problem for them is that there's a threshold that, in my opinion, that our carbon-based meat suits can manage as far as a flow and an amount of information and change of that information. We get to these massive flows of data, and you go, the hell am I supposed to do with this? Well, I know my bullshit meter's pegging over here, so there's got to be some shit in that pile that just got dumped on my ass. And so you have to deal with all of that. But the key is, does it, if it's being, if that's so the characteristics of the content that you're getting pelted with, what's important is to be able to quickly, as quickly and effectively analyze the content of the crap that's come, and whether it's something that is worth putting in the to-do stack or pairing off to the no fucking way stack. Because there's a lot more of that going on than we've ever seen. We've gotten to the point, it's like Scott was saying, the news business, its business model is to lie. That's what it doesn't make money unless it lies.
Yeah, that's what that Rick Doty used to do. Pay money out to the media, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah, that's another story. But hopefully we'll have him on the show soon. So
yeah. Hey, Raycar in the chat said the problem I would have with cryptocurrency is most of the earth uses a system where work equals pay. Where is the work equivalent in cryptocurrency? The work is the value definition, and then how it's remunerated. Cryptocurrency cryptocurrency gives equality in protection. Everybody has the same protect. There's no
still got to work.
Back door, none of this shit. You got an idea in a crypto and you are tokenized, you own that. That's your token.
There'll be no more cash in the hand jobs.
Well, it's like I said, always in cash.
No more dealing with your drug dealer down the corner with cash.
I could still be on the blockchain and be verified and work with my neighbor across the street that's verified, and I can exchange my money through the system for him work serviced.
Yeah,
right.
You don't have to say what you buy or what. I mean, you can buy something off him. You still don't have to say what for, what you're buying.
And that's between me and him, what we agreed upon as far as, what the money costs. And that's where the value comes in, what the value is, whether it's Bitcoins or US dollars, however the system works, it's all going to be converted and it's all going to be the same. So we agree
It could be a digital and an NFT, a non-fungible token. Right. Meaning a piece that is only assigned once and it can never be split. It can be shared, but there's always an original owner of it. Whereas cryptos are just designed to go throughout the system.
Obviously, the taxation department or your NSA or what not NSA, what do you call it?
Tax will be completely replaced. There will be not only will there not be any need for a tax system, it will piss off a lot of people to find out that it was a complete fraud, a sham, and illegal when they finally get rid of it. They can't let that out now because they need that system to keep it going. But once the replacement system that we've been talking about is in place, the shit that's going to come out about the financial system and the insurances and the banks and all this other shit is just people going to go, really? You purposely were that predatory to your own peeps and you did it with purpose? And how did you get a feeling of power from that? It's like, well, yeah, okay, clearly there was some shit not right here. So we're going to take that out and look at what it is that's see, and this is the thing. And this is going to be, in my opinion, one of the most beauteous things that I'm going to enjoy watching is the redefinition of systems and how all of the friction points and the unnecessary intermediaries are going to be found, oddly enough, by these AI tools. They're going to go, well, why are you doing all this shit? You just say, or please analyze this. Tell me where it's broken, where I can get more for less. It's like, well, you need to take all of that out because all of that is actually done over here. And so much of that is going to be revealed, and it's going to require, this fear of AI is going to take my job. It's like, yeah, but you have to look at the nuance and the layers of it. Number one, it's going to find a better way to do shit that's already broke. If you're doing shit in the broke part, yeah, your job's going to be adios because the broke is what this stuff is going to go help get identified to have the most, as much of a frictionless system that's dependable, secure, et cetera, as possible. And that's what this system does. And it's off the bench. It's been like Charles was going on again. 53 million people are using crypto in some way, shape, or form. And it's been tested. It's ready to go. And all of this, he named off the legal activities against the various crypto firms. The only thing that has ever happened in any of the crypto stuff has been people putting up scams and screwing people. Wallets have never been hacked. The blockchain has never been hacked because it can't. The only thing that has had any problems are exchanges, where the people get together to go trade their cryptos. Yeah. Those have had some issues, but you can't crack because you can't go back.
Well, Raycar was actually asking, mentioned a question there. I mean, nothing will change when it comes to hourly rate. I mean, you work for a company, they're going to stick to the same hourly rate. And if you want the job, you're going to accept it. If you don't want the rate, you don't take the job.
Right.
But everything would be, but that's what they'll actually pay into your crypto account.
Well, the thing is, and two, Ricard, goes to the other point that I was making earlier about the changing understanding, definition, and use of the term value. What we think of as an exchange of energy, which is what we do when we go do something that someone pays us for. We're putting out effort, they're putting out currency in an energy form of currency. And we agree to that. That's an agreement of the value exchange. That model will change and have different delineations of how it's used in the value exchange, because it will be a work in progress. But whatever is going to happen in there, that's where it's going to happen, is in there. So I would rather go explore and be a part of helping the transformation of this technology into this new model, knowing that it's going to have some bumps.
Okay.
Then stay anywhere near the shit that both Charles and Scott and I and Jim and Gerald have been talking about, which is it's all broke. And so you can't use the same people. You can't use the same system. You can't do anything other than bring out the brigade of bulldozers, line them up on the outside of the town, fire them up, and just have a big old scrape party.
Looking into your crystal ball, right? How long do you think this would take to implement?
Optimistically, 5 to 10, most likely 15 to 20, for it to get completely.
That doesn't mean jack shit to me, mate.
Yeah. Well,
whatever.
And the thing is that we don't have to worry too much or rely. Actually, is what I meant. Not worry.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry or rely too much on you Aussies down there, because you're out there in the middle of nowhere. Nobody knows what goes on out there except the occasional
It's what
socialist
happens here.
videos we get
It's
from
like
all
Las
of the
Vegas.
captured Australians down there begging, fly me somewhere else. I can't
Hey,
stand
no,
it.
mate. Hey, Australia's like Las Vegas. You know what happens in Australia stays in Australia. It's the best kept secret on the planet, Australia.
Hey, I heard that I've heard one of your universities down there has started a new course solely devoted to teach the magic of Taylor Swift, and it's the
That's
first.
the first time.
I blew my mind, and it's true. You go Google it.
Oh, mate, that's it, mate. I'll have to bloody protest now. God,
So
I'll
I'm
start
thinking-
a movement.
I'm thinking whoever's running the school system down there is, they're one cracker shy of a full pack, because that just doesn't sound like that makes a lot of sense.
No, 95 cents short of $1, I reckon. Anyway, mate, I think it's time for me to cruise on. We've been on for over 2.5 hours now.
Well, I'm glad you went ahead and pulled the plug on yourself, because I was just about to do that for you.
Oh, no. Hey, everybody, who needs enemies when I got friends like this?
That's right.
This gentleman here. Hey, did you like that little anime I sent you with the electrical figures? And
I saw it. I haven't looked at it yet, but I saw it in my message. I need to check that out. Well, we can hopefully do some music, maybe next week. I know we're going to do a Saturday night.
I'll be here with you guys.
Gezzers Gab.
Yeah. Hey, would you? If I decide to go on my channel and do something, would you be willing to join me?
Well, yeah.
Anywhere in between, yeah. I haven't got anything planned yet. I just kind of, just me,
Yeah, and maybe we can try to get the stream to your channel on the next one too, because Gerald, it worked this time.
It did.
But what I don't understand, how come both cameras are working? They're up, both cameras, and I'm only getting the system camera up. It's shocking.
Can you change cameras?
Well, what I'm actually got here, I'm clicking on. It's not happening, mate. It's definitely not happening. What's good?
Well, I don't know about you, Gerald, but I got to tell you, knowing Terry's down there upside down and seeing him right side up, and there's fucking with my mind.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. It's like Bizarro World.
Really, isn't it? I mean, I thought I wasn't the only one feeling that. Well, gentlemen, I think
hey, payback's gonna be a bitch.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. I'll be working on this one now, till Saturday, mate. I'll be working on it.
You send the show request through the blockchain, and we'll see if you're verified or not, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, verified. Yeah, that's me, mate.
Well,
okay.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream for the live.
Goodbye, everybody.
Streamers. Hello, streamers. Thank you, streamers.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to Dickhead here. I mean,
wherever you're seeing this, you should be seeing it on a couple of Rumble channels, a couple of YouTube channels, a Facebook channel, and an X channel.
Yeah, but I'll actually post it from yours to mine, so don't worry. I'll make.
Yeah, I'll send you the contract for that.
Okay, royalty Bitcoin.
It's all going to be in Bitcoin, baby.
I'll catch you later, guys. Have a good one.
All right, everybody. Have a great one. See you Saturday.